The Pharaoh Food Strike. Pop culture loves to claim that the majestic tombs of Egypt were built by thousands of slaves driven by whips. The grand tombs of Egypt weren't built by whip slaves, but by elite, highly paid artisans. They were compensated entirely in monthly shipments of wheat, barley, and beer. In 1155 BC, under Pharaoh Ramesses III, massive government corruption completely halted these food deliveries. The workers waited 2 months before they snapped. They dropped their tools and staged the first recorded labor strike in human history. According to the Turin Strike Papyrus, the artisans easily marched past the royal guards, blockaded the Valley of the Kings, and stormed the temples, shouting, "We have come out of hunger. We have no grain, no clothes, no fish." Panicked that the workers would expose the secret traps inside the royal tombs, the government immediately opened emergency vaults to pay them off. The Ghost Letters of Amarna. In 1350 BC, Pharaoh Akhenaten went completely rogue, banned Egypt's traditional gods, declared himself the only religious authority, and locked himself inside a brand new, isolated capital city in the desert called Amarna. While the pharaoh spent his days writing religious poetry, the borders of his empire were violently collapsing under foreign invasions. We know this because archaeologists dug up the Amarna letters, a stash of baked clay SOS messages from frontline governors. The letters detail a psychological breakdown. Terrified commanders begged the pharaoh to send just a handful of archers to save their cities from slaughter. Akhenaten completely ignored them, refusing to leave his compound. The front lines were completely wiped out because their living god chose to mute his notifications. The mechanical gods. To the ancient public, temple priests held terrifying supernatural power. Grieving citizens would ask a question to a heavy stone statue of a god, and the statue would physically open its mouth and talk back. Textbooks used to dismiss this as religious exaggeration, but archaeology exposed a literal puppet show. Surviving ritual gear, like the ceramic Anubis mask shown above, features a hidden mechanical hinge in the jaw operated by an internal string pulley. A hidden priest standing behind the statue or wearing the mask would pull the cord, making the heavy jaw snap open and closed while throwing their voice. The temples used these deliberate illusions to manipulate vulnerable families, claiming the gods demanded expensive livestock and land titles to let their dead relatives into heaven. The fly repellent of Pepi. The empire's longest-reigning monarch, Pepi II, spent his life losing his mind over a tiny enemy, the common housefly. To keep his royal meals completely bug-free, he issued a bizarre decree ordering his servants to be stripped naked, slathered from head to toe in thick, sticky honey, and forced to stand perfectly still around him to act as literal human flypaper. The flies swarmed the sticky staff while the pharaoh ate in total peace, but this petty obsession blinded him to the fact that his governors were bankrupting the throne, meaning a global superpower structurally collapsed into a dark age because its king was too busy waging war on bugs. The feline shield disaster. Ancient Egyptians absolutely worshipped cats, viewing them as sacred vessels linked to the goddess Bastet. In fact, under Egyptian law, killing a cat, even entirely by accident, carried an automatic death penalty. In 525 BC, a brilliant foreign military strategist used this religious devotion to completely conquer Egypt without an actual fight. King Cambyses II of Persia was trying to break through the heavily fortified Egyptian city of Pelusium. Knowing his enemy's deep religious weakness, he ordered his frontline soldiers to paint images of the cat goddess on their shields. Even crazier, historical records show that the Persian troops carried live cats directly into the front lines to act as literal living body armor. When the Egyptian archers lined up on the city walls, they looked down and realized that firing their arrows would tear through the sacred animals. Paralyzed by the spiritual fear of angering their gods, the entire Egyptian army refused to fight. They dropped their weapons and ran away in panic, completely collapsing an empire, all because of psychological warfare using house pets. The Hippo War. Empires usually go to war over territory, gold, or broken alliances, but in 1550 BC, Egypt sparked a brutal war of liberation, all because a foreign king lodged history's most ridiculous noise complaint. A foreign occupying ruler named Apophis was governing northern Egypt, while a local Egyptian prince, Seqenenre Tao II, ruled the south from the city of Thebes. Desperate for a petty excuse to start a fight, Apophis sent a royal messenger over 500 miles south with a formal letter demanding the Egyptian prince shut down his sacred pool of hippopotamuses. The reason? Apophis claimed the hippos were splashing too loudly and keeping him awake at night, which is physically impossible since they lived half a continent away. Instead of backing down, the Egyptian prince realized it was a psychological trap, launched an actual military rebellion to defend his hippos, and ended up getting brutally killed on the battlefield. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up and subscribe.